Hey, it's Andrew. Tonight, I've got 3 unsettling stories that were sent in by real people. Experiences they swear actually happened. What started as normal life, college classes, quiet weekends at home, moving into a new apartment, slowly turned into something they'll never be able to forget. The kind of moments that make you question everyone around you and realize that sometimes the people who seem normal are anything but. But before we begin, I'm curious. Where are you listening from tonight? And what time is it for you right now? It's always amazing to see how far these stories travel across the world. Let me know in the comments. I try to read as many as I can. Alright, turn the lights down, keep your doors locked, and let's get started. Story 1. The Arrangement. I've gone back and forth about whether to share this, but I think I need to put it somewhere. This happened when I was a sophomore at a university in the Northeast. I won't say which one for privacy reasons. I'm in a sorority, Kappa, and I'm an English major. I've always taken academics seriously because I'm trying to get into law school after graduation. That context matters for what I'm about to tell you. Last year, spring semester, I enrolled in an upper-level course on English Romanticism. The class was small, maybe 25 students total, mostly juniors and seniors. There was a professor who led the lectures, but most of the actual teaching happened in discussion sections with the TA. His name was Rowan. Everyone just called him Rowan. I still don't know if that was his first or last name, but it's what was on the syllabus and what everyone used. He was maybe late 20s, lanky, always wore the same rotation of faded band t-shirts under blazers that didn't quite fit right. He gave off this, "I'm in a band but we only play dive bars" energy. Kind of pretentious, kind of awkward, but not overtly creepy. Just an oddball. The class itself was fine. Lots of close reading of Wordsworth, Coleridge, Shelley. Discussions about nature and memory and transcendence. But participation was dead most days. People would sit there silently until Rowan got uncomfortable enough to start cold calling, which he hated doing. When he did, he'd get snippy with people who clearly hadn't done the reading. There was one guy, though, who always kept things moving. His name was Luke. He was tall, maybe 6'1", with dark brown hair and this effortless confidence that comes from being good-looking and knowing it. The only other thing I knew about him initially was that he was in one of the better fraternities on campus. Luke had this way of making jokes at exactly the right moment, not to be annoying but to cut the tension when discussions got too heavy or awkward. And he actually did the reading, which was rare. When he talked, it was clear he understood the material, so the humor felt earned. He wasn't trying to be the class clown. He just had presence. I remember thinking he was smart but kind of goofy. Approachable. Since I needed strong participation grades for my GPA, I ended up being one of the only other people who talked regularly. So it was usually me, Luke, and maybe 2 or 3 others carrying every discussion while everyone else checked their phones under the table. Rowan seemed to appreciate it. He'd nod along when I made points, sometimes build on what I said in ways that felt validating. Made me feel like I was actually contributing something worthwhile. For our first major essay, I wrote about ambiguity in Wordsworth's Tintern Abbey. It wasn't groundbreaking, but I was proud of it. I'd spent hours on it, really trying to dig into the text. When I got it back, Rowan had written these long, detailed comments in the margins. Not just corrections, actual engagement with my ideas. Agreement even. He'd written things like, "exactly," and "this is the kind of analysis I was hoping to see." I got an A. After that, I noticed Rowan started paying more attention to me in class. He'd call on me more often, ask follow-up questions to my answers, make prolonged eye contact. At first, I told myself I was imagining it. TAs develop preferences for certain students all the time. It's not unusual. But then he started asking me things that felt less academic. After one class, he asked if I'd grown up around here, what my parents did, whether I had siblings. Small talk, but it felt slightly off. Like he was trying to learn about me outside the context of the class. I answered politely but briefly, then made an excuse to leave. Around the same time, I started running into Luke more outside of class. Our sorority and his fraternity had a lot of overlap. Joint mixers, themed parties, the whole Greek life circuit. I think most of it is performative nonsense, but we were both in what you'd consider top-tier houses at our school, so we ended up at the same events constantly. We started talking more at these parties. He was funny, easy to talk to, not trying too hard. After a few weeks of this casual interaction, he asked if I wanted to grab dinner sometime. I said sure. We went on maybe 3 dates before things got physical. He was sweet, attentive, made me feel comfortable. I wasn't falling head over heels or anything, but I liked him. It was uncomplicated and low maintenance. One afternoon after class, I was walking to my car when I saw Luke standing behind the lecture hall smoking a cigarette with Rowan. They were talking like they knew each other, which struck me as strange. I didn't even know Luke smoked. When I asked him about it later that night, he laughed it off. Just trying to get on his good side so I don't have to try as hard toward the end of the semester. I told him that was kind of pathetic. He grinned. I'll take pathetic over a bad grade any day. A few weeks into whatever Luke and I were doing, I spent the night at his apartment. It was a typical college guy's place. Minimally furnished, clothes on the floor, empty beer cans on the counter. We'd been drinking a bit, watching something forgettable on Netflix, and things progressed naturally. Afterward, he fell asleep almost immediately. I was still wired, so I just lay there scrolling through my phone. That's when I noticed his phone on the nightstand next to me, unlocked, with a YouTube video playing. I know I shouldn't have looked. I know it was a violation of privacy. But I'm a college girl in a sorority. The types of guys I'm surrounded by would give anyone trust issues. So I looked. I went through his photos first. Just curiosity, nothing malicious. That's when I found them. Photos of me. A lot of them. Some were innocent enough. Pictures of me walking across campus, sitting in the library, getting coffee. Candid shots I had no memory of him taking. But there were others. More intimate photos. Some I'd sent him willingly. But others, I had no recollection of taking. Angles that suggested I hadn't known I was being photographed. I felt sick. Not angry exactly. More confused and violated. If he'd asked for most of these, I probably would have sent them. But he hadn't asked. He'd just taken them. I didn't wake him up that night. I just set his phone down, rolled over, and tried to process what I'd seen. I kept it to myself for about a week, partly out of embarrassment for snooping, partly because I didn't know how to bring it up without it becoming a huge thing. But I couldn't let it go. The images kept playing in my mind. The angles, the timestamps, the sheer number of them. So the next time I stayed over after he fell asleep, I tried guessing his password. It wasn't hard. Just his birthday, but reversed. Basic. This time I went deeper. I checked his messages, his deleted photos, his apps, and I found something that made my hands start shaking. He'd been sending photos of me, those photos of me, to an unsaved number. Regularly. For weeks. Basically the entire time we'd been seeing each other. The messages were brief. Just the photos, no context. The unsaved number would respond sometimes with things like, perfect, or send more. I felt like I was going to throw up. I took screenshots of everything with my own phone, my hands trembling so badly I could barely hold it steady. Then I started crying. Not quiet crying, full body shaking sobs that I couldn't control. I shook Luke awake. Art. Who is this number? I shoved my phone in his face, showing him the screenshots. He looked confused, groggy. Then his expression changed when he realized what he was looking at. Babe, it's not. Who the fuck is this number, Luke? He sat up, running his hands through his hair. It's my backup phone. I like to have copies of everything in case. Bullshit. You're sending them to someone. Who is it? I swear it's just... I didn't let him finish. I grabbed my stuff and left. He followed me to the door, still trying to explain, but I was already gone. I was a complete wreck. I won't get into the immediate aftermath, the crying, the shame, the feeling of being violated in ways I couldn't fully articulate. Just know it was probably the worst week of my life. I told my roommate everything. She convinced me to go to campus police. They took it seriously, which surprised me. They got a warrant for Luke's phone records and identified the unsaved number. It belonged to Rowan, my TA. When the police confronted Luke with this information, he confessed pretty quickly. Rowan had been paying him hundreds of dollars, apparently, in exchange for photos of me. The whole thing had been planned from the beginning of the semester. Luke admitted that Rowan had approached him after the first week of class, asked if he knew me, offered money if he could get close to me. Take me on dates. Get intimate. Send proof. I felt like my entire reality had shattered. Every conversation I'd had with Luke, every moment of seeming genuine connection, had been orchestrated. Paid for. Rowan had been obsessed with me since the first essay I'd submitted. He'd spent weeks planning this, finding someone in class who could believably approach me, someone I'd be attracted to. And Luke had done it for money. The university moved fast once the police got involved. Luke was expelled within a week. Rowan was fired and arrested. I think there was jail time, but I didn't follow the case closely. I couldn't. Looking at the details made me feel sick all over again. That was almost 2 years ago. I'm a senior now, about to graduate. I've dealt with everything in my own way, therapy mostly, and a lot of time trying to rebuild my sense of trust in people. I thought it was behind me. But a few weeks ago I started noticing something. There's a silver sedan that's been parked outside my sorority house late at night. Not every night, but often enough that I've started paying attention. Different spots, but always with a clear view of the front entrance. I haven't seen anyone get in or out of it. I don't know if it's one of them. Luke is banned from campus and Rowan should still be in jail. But I don't know for certain. I'm probably being paranoid. I moved into the sorority house well after everything happened. There's no reason they'd know I live here now. But the car keeps appearing. And I keep wondering if this is really over or if it's just starting again. Thank you for sharing this. The violation of trust, the manipulation, the realization that what felt real was completely fabricated, that's a trauma that doesn't just go away. Now let's move on to story number 2. Story 2, The Watchers. This happened 2 weeks ago. I'm still not fully over it, but I need to get it out because keeping it to myself is driving me insane. My name is Carter, but everyone calls me C. I'm 24 and still living with my parents in Northern California. And before you judge, no, it's not the California you're picturing. Not every part of the state is beaches and palm trees. Where I live, it snows heavily in winter. We're talking true middle of nowhere, surrounded by dense forest. Closest neighbor is a genuine 10-minute drive kind of isolation. I've been snowboarding my whole life, so the cold doesn't bother me. If anything, I prefer it. But that's not really the point. The point is that 2 weekends ago, my parents flew to Portugal for a wedding. My mom's college friend was getting married in Lisbon, and I wasn't invited, which was fine. A weekend alone in the house actually sounded nice. Space to myself, no one to answer to, complete freedom. Our house isn't anything special. Standard 3-bedroom, single-story ranch-style home. My parents' bedroom is at one end of the hallway, mine is at the other, and there's a guest room in the middle that we mostly use for storage. The living room and kitchen are in the center of the house, and the front door opens directly into the living room. I'm describing the layout because it matters for what happened. The first night alone was completely normal. I stayed up until maybe 2 a.m. playing video games, made myself a frozen pizza, watched some YouTube. Went to bed around 2:30 and passed out almost immediately. The second night is when everything went wrong. I remember going to bed around the same time, maybe slightly earlier because I'd been up late the night before. I was exhausted, so I fell asleep fast. I woke up in the middle of the night. I don't know what time exactly, but it was still pitch black outside. That's unusual for me. I normally sleep straight through. I knew something had woken me up, but I couldn't identify what. I always keep my phone on airplane mode when I sleep, so it wasn't a notification. But I had this distinct sense that a sound had pulled me out of sleep. I scanned my room, but it was completely dark. As my eyes started adjusting, though, I noticed something that made my stomach drop. My closet door was wide open. I always keep that door closed. It's one of those sliding doors that doesn't stay shut on its own, you have to deliberately close it. And I make a point of closing it every single night before bed. I've been weird about open closet doors since I was a kid. Some irrational fear that never went away. So I'm meticulous about it. I didn't leave it open. I know I didn't. My brain started doing that thing where it tries to convince you you're still dreaming, that what you're seeing isn't real. But I knew I was awake. I could feel my heart starting to pound, could hear my breathing getting faster. Without thinking, I reached over to my nightstand and grabbed my phone. I turned on the flashlight. That's when I saw them. 2 figures. Standing at the foot of my bed. Just standing there, perfectly still. I screamed. An actual, full-throated scream that came from somewhere primal. The moment the light hit them, they scattered. Both of them in opposite directions, moving so fast they were almost blurs. One went left toward my closet. The other went right toward my door. I was flailing with my phone trying to keep the light on them, but they were too quick. I heard something metallic clatter to the floor, but I couldn't process what it was. I kept screaming. I don't even know what I was screaming. Just noise, pure panic. The figures bolted through my bedroom door and down the hallway. I could hear their footsteps pounding on the hardwood floor. Before I could think about what I was doing, I jumped out of bed and chased them. I know. Stupid. Incredibly stupid. But I wasn't thinking rationally. I was running on adrenaline and terror. By the time I got to the hallway, I heard the front door slam. I ran to the living room, phone light swinging wildly, illuminating empty space. They were gone. I stood there in the living room for I don't even know how long. Maybe 5 minutes. Maybe 20. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold my phone. I was just trying to breathe, trying to process what had just happened. When I finally calmed down enough to think semi-rationally, I ran back to my bedroom, locked the door, and called 911. While I was on the phone with the dispatcher explaining what happened, I finally looked down at the floor near the foot of my bed. That's when I saw what had clattered during the chaos. It was a knife. One of my mom's kitchen knives. A big one with an 8-inch blade. I almost threw up. I'm not exaggerating. I had to sit down on my bed because my legs suddenly couldn't support me. Those people had been standing over me with a knife while I slept. If I hadn't woken up when I did, I don't even want to think about what would have happened. I wouldn't have woken up. Not alive anyway. The police showed up maybe 25 minutes later. They searched the entire property, house, garage, yard, surrounding woods. No sign of anyone. They took my statement, photographed the knife, dusted for fingerprints. One of the officers, an older guy with gray hair, asked me if I'd remembered to lock the front door when I went to bed. I think so, I said. He gave me this look. Not judgmental exactly, but knowing. You think so or you know so? I remember locking it. Well, there's no sign of forced entry. Every window in the house is locked. Every other door is locked. The only way someone could have gotten in is if the front door was unlocked. I told him I was certain I'd locked it, but even as I said it, doubt was creeping in. I'd been tired. Had I actually locked it or had I just thought about locking it? The police eventually left. They said they'd increase patrols in the area, told me to keep everything locked, gave me a card with the incident number. My parents got home the next day, and the moment they walked in, they started lecturing me about responsibility and safety and how could I be so careless. I tried to explain that I had locked the door, but my dad just shook his head. Carter, there's no other explanation. You forgot. It's okay to admit it, but you need to learn from this. You could have been killed. I accepted it. What else could I do? The physical evidence supported their conclusion. No forced entry meant I must have left the door unlocked. But I know I locked it. I have this vivid memory of turning the deadbolt, hearing the click, testing the handle to make sure it was secure. I know I locked it. It's been 2 weeks now, and I still don't have an explanation that makes sense. Forget whether the door was locked or not. Why were people in my room with a knife? At first, I thought maybe they'd known my parents were out of the country. Maybe they'd been watching the house, waiting for an opportunity. But the more I think about it, the less that makes sense. If you're going to rob a house, you rob it. You don't stand over someone's bed with a knife while they're sleeping. Unless robbery wasn't the goal. Unless they were there for something else entirely. I started having nightmares. In them I don't wake up. I just keep sleeping while those two figures stand over me, and I see the knife descending, and then I wake up gasping. I installed new locks on my bedroom door. Heavy-duty ones that my parents don't know about. I keep a baseball bat next to my bed now. And I never ever sleep without my phone in my hand. My parents think I'm being paranoid. They think this was a one-time thing, a random attempted burglary that got interrupted. But I can't shake the feeling that it wasn't random at all. Because here's what I haven't told anyone else. 3 days after it happened, I was going through my phone's photo gallery, looking for something unrelated, when I found a photo I didn't remember taking. It was dated the morning my parents left for Portugal. The timestamp said 6:47 a.m. The photo showed my bedroom window. From outside. Like someone had been standing in the backyard looking in. I didn't take that photo. I was asleep at 6:47 a.m. that day. Which means someone else took it with my phone. Which means someone had already been in my house before that night. And I have no idea how many times. Or if they're planning to come back. Thank you for that submission. The violation of safety in your own home, the uncertainty of what's real and what you might have imagined. That's the kind of fear that never fully goes away. Now for our final story. Story 3, The Follower. My name is Iris. This started happening about 4 months ago, right after I broke up with my ex-boyfriend, Derek. I'm 25 and I just moved into my first solo apartment after living with roommates since college. It was nothing special, a one-bedroom in a mid-sized complex in Columbus, Ohio. Second floor, facing the back of the building, which meant my view was basically the parking lot and some trees beyond it. Not scenic, but I didn't care. I had my own space, my own schedule, and for the first time in my adult life, actual privacy. I work remotely as a marketing coordinator, so I'm home a lot. That's part of why I wanted my own place. I was tired of taking work calls while roommates were being loud in the kitchen or having people over when I was trying to meet deadlines. For the first few weeks, everything was great. I didn't really interact with anyone in the building beyond polite nods. There was an older woman on the first floor who always seemed to be checking her mail whenever I walked by, and a couple across the hall who I'd hear arguing sometimes through the walls. That was the extent of my social landscape in the building. I started noticing him maybe 3 weeks after I moved in. The first time was when I was coming back from the gym around 8 p.m. As I was walking up the stairs to my floor, I passed someone coming down. He was this completely nondescript white guy. Maybe late 30s or early 40s, average build, average height. He was wearing a gray hoodie and jeans. There wasn't anything remarkable about him at all. We did that awkward thing where you both try to move to the same side of the stairwell, then he just kinda squeezed past me without saying anything. I didn't think much of it. The second time was a few days later. I was in the parking lot getting something out of my car when I saw him standing near the dumpsters. He wasn't doing anything really, just sort of standing there looking at his phone. When I glanced over, he turned and walked away around the side of the building. Again, not that weird on its own. People live here. They're going to be around. The third time is when things started feeling off. I was working at my desk, which faces the window overlooking the parking lot. It was mid-afternoon, and I happened to glance outside while I was on a video call. There was a navy blue sedan parked in the lot that I didn't recognize. Someone was sitting in the driver's seat. I couldn't see their face clearly, but I could tell they were looking up at the building. Maybe at my floor. Maybe at my window specifically. I couldn't be sure. I watched for a few seconds, then went back to my call. When I looked again maybe 10 minutes later, the car was gone. For whatever reason, that stuck with me. I started paying more attention after that. And the more attention I paid, the more I noticed him. The guy was in the parking lot a lot. Not every day, but often enough that it felt like a pattern. Sometimes he'd be walking through. Sometimes sitting in that navy blue sedan. Once I saw him standing by the stairs to my building just looking at his phone. He never looked directly at me. Or if he did, I never caught him. But I started getting this feeling that he was always positioned where he could see my apartment. I told myself I was being paranoid. The complex isn't that big. If someone lived here and kept similar hours, I'd probably see them frequently. That's just statistics. And I'd never caught him actually doing anything wrong. He wasn't following me. He wasn't approaching me. He was just around. But then something happened that I couldn't explain away. I have a pretty set routine. I go to the same gym at the same time most days, 5:30 p.m. on weekdays. And I usually stop at the same Chipotle on my way back maybe twice a week. It's about a 15-minute drive from my apartment, in a completely different part of town. One evening, I'm sitting in the Chipotle eating a bowl and scrolling through Instagram. I look up and there he is. Same guy. Same gray hoodie. Sitting at a table across the restaurant eating a burrito bowl. My stomach dropped. There was no reason he should be there. The gym I go to is in the opposite direction from my apartment. This Chipotle isn't near anything else. It's not on a main road where you just happen to pass by. You go there on purpose. I tried to rationalize it. Chipotle is popular. He was eating. It could be coincidence. But he was also looking at me. Not obviously, he'd look down at his food, then glance up, then look back down. But I could feel it. When I got up to leave, I swear I saw him start gathering his stuff too. I walked to my car fast. Not running, but moving with purpose. I got in, locked the doors immediately, and just sat there for a moment trying to calm down. When I looked back at the restaurant through the windows, I couldn't see him anymore. The drive home, I kept checking my mirrors obsessively. I didn't see anyone following me, but I took a weird, roundabout route just to be safe. When I got back to my apartment, I sat in the dark for almost an hour just watching the parking lot through my window. I never saw him or the sedan. Eventually I convinced myself I'd overreacted and went to bed. The next morning, I woke up and looked outside like I'd started doing every morning. The sedan was there. And someone was sitting in it. That's when I called the police. I felt stupid doing it. What was I going to say? There's a guy I keep seeing and it's making me uncomfortable? But I called anyway. I tried to explain the situation to the dispatcher. She was polite but clearly skeptical. She said they could send an officer to check the parking lot, but unless the person was doing something illegal, there wasn't much they could do. She suggested I document everything. Write down dates and times, take pictures if I could, call back if anything escalated. By the time a patrol car showed up, maybe 45 minutes later, the sedan was gone. The officer walked around the complex, knocked on a few doors and basically told me what I expected. No sign of anyone suspicious, no complaints from other residents. He gave me a card and told me to call if anything else happened. Nothing happened for about a week after that. I started to relax slightly. Maybe the police visit had spooked him. Maybe I really had been imagining patterns that weren't there. But then I got the note. It was slipped under my door sometime during the night. I found it in the morning when I woke up. Handwritten on plain white paper, "You should really close your blinds at night." I dropped the note. Literally let it fall from my hands as I backed away from it. My apartment is on the second floor. To see into my windows, you'd have to be in the parking lot looking up or in the trees beyond the lot. Which meant he'd been watching me. At night. When I thought I had privacy. I called the police again. Showed them the note. They took it as evidence, dusted my door for prints, asked questions about anyone I might have upset recently. They found nothing useful. I moved out 2 weeks later. Didn't even wait for my lease to end. Paid the penalty and left. I moved back in with my parents an hour away, planning to stay there until I found another apartment somewhere else. Maybe a different city entirely. I thought that was the end of it. If it had been, I wouldn't be writing this. About a month after moving back home, I was driving back from the gym, a different gym, obviously one near my parents' place, when I saw it. A navy blue sedan. Parked on a side street maybe 2 blocks from my parents' neighborhood. I recognized it immediately. Same make, same model. I even caught a partial plate that matched. I sped the rest of the way home, hands shaking on the wheel. I told my parents as soon as I got inside. My dad said he'd keep an eye out. My mom started double-checking all the locks. They've been watching the street more carefully since then. My dad mentioned getting a doorbell camera for the front porch. It's been about 3 weeks and I haven't seen the car again. Part of me wants to believe it was coincidence. A similar car and I'm just paranoid. But I know what I saw. And I don't know how he found me. I didn't tell anyone where I was moving. I deactivated my social media. I changed my phone number. But somehow he knew. Which means he's been paying closer attention than I ever realized. And if he found me once, he can find me again. I'm scared to leave the house now. Scared to establish any routine he could learn. Scared to go anywhere alone. The police said to call if I see him again, but what good will that do? By the time they arrive, he'll be gone. Just like before. I'm debating moving again. Maybe out of state this time. Somewhere completely random. But part of me thinks it won't matter. He'll find me again. He always does. A special thank you to everyone who submitted their stories today. These experiences remind us that trust can be weaponized, that safety is fragile, and that sometimes the people who seem normal are hiding something terrifying. If you liked today's submissions, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe so you never miss a new story. Until next time, stay cautious, trust your instincts, and remember, sometimes the most dangerous people are the ones who blend in perfectly. Happy 2026, everyone. Stay safe out there.